been designing a base for this. This is going to be the front end kind of thing. She'll be floating above it like that. This came up some weird. And then I'm going to do an Andor symbol, which is printing right now. It's just starting to do a bed level up here. Because that symbol, as I was reading up, I was trying to find like the very earliest rebel symbol. And that symbol there is very close to what the rebellion symbol is. Throw this one up here. It's going to kind of be like that. So this is like one of the earliest rebellion or the Rebel Alliance symbols. Which that I didn't know. I was always wondering what it was. But yeah. And then it's more defined nowadays. Let's see if I can. Because here's the Rebel Alliance symbol. Eventually. And then you got the Galactic Empire and the Galactic Republic. First Order, Mandalorian, and then you have the Jedi Order, which is very similar. But then I made, the base came out good. We'll probably hit it with some rub and buff, simple with the base. And then I have my power jack and my 2 switches. Power on, and then one for the laser cannons. I gotta go in back here and clean up all these tree supports. And it printed it at a nice thickness. I got it to be at a nice thickness. Sometimes with the hollowing tool, it doesn't give you exactly the thickness I want. And then what I did here is I like my bases, instead of it all being suspended off of here, I like to bring it all the way down. So I drilled a big hole. I think this total height is 25 millimeters. So, and this raised part is just 5 millimeters. And this is 20 millimeters or 2 centimeters. So it's like 2.5 centimeters. So I just drilled that for the post. Let's make sure the post will actually fit in it. And then we might have to give it a little nudging. I got to give it a little more tolerance because things sometimes when they print shrink. Yeah, it's like right there. I'll just have to run probably a drill down there just to clean it up. But down the, so I drilled that size down 2 centimeters or 20 millimeters, which then left me 5, the same thickness as this top part, down the bottom. And then I drilled a smaller hole, not sure what it was. And then I drilled a hole this way, all in FreeCAD. So I had to learn how to drill a hole in a round thing, so that kind of worked. So now I can start making some like generic bases. And then maybe I'll start selling them and sell them with the switches and everything. Already for them, switches and jacks. Or I can sell them without the switches and jacks, without any holes, but it's kind of nice having them already ready. All you would have to do is solder your wires and plug in. But I like to bring that, so this whole round part here is going to be able to sit there, so that gives nice extra support. But then I drilled a hole. You're just seeing the edge of it. I drilled that fast already. Printed these shutters out of resin and got them to fit. This one broke out, so I had to glue that piece back on. I was hoping to get them to slide into the little grooves like at one end. So I made them a hair bigger. This one's a little on the loose side. I like how tight this one is. Always have to grab it from this Ah, it snapped. The glue it might be a little too tight yet. I really wish they would have made a thicker piece. So you had a thicker background. Like I almost want to do that. Is to fill that in with something. But what I did, maybe this one, it needs to be loose like this one. You can kind of get it in that little bottom slot, and it seems to be staying okay. Try to use resin. It seemed to be working pretty good on resin parts. Wonder if I should use the flexible so that it can bend and give. I'm going to try that. Let's try the flexible because it is a flexible part. I'm wondering if I take some of this and just smear it on the back of this to give it another layer of something, and that's flexible. I think that's what I'm going to do. I got a whole bottle of this stuff because it worked. It worked the best on the doing the windows on the Enterprise. I have two that are broken. This one it chipped out. That was just from a support. And this flexible takes a little more light. We're hard like 3 seconds and you're pretty much cured. This one takes a little more. I think I'm gonna have to charge that battery soon. But I was thinking of flexible because then I can still flex it, but it'll have this film of flexible resin on the back. But we're definitely gonna give that a try. How can we do it? Do I have an old garbage brush? I don't use these big fat ones. Never paint anything this fat. But this could be a lot of resin to get this to work. I can refill this, but I have a refillable bottle. And that's the nice thing is this is not a glue per se, so it's not like it's gonna set up and dry. Just want to give it extra. Whoa! Didn't bottle wants to fall over because all the resin's on one side. Put it in my curing station. That way it can hit all the way around for 3 minutes. I'll put them there because then it's going to come around. I wonder if I should leave them upside down like this. Yeah, they'll get more UV light that way. What's going on with this thing today? There we go. Yeah, I love that thing. That way it'll get some UV light for 3 minutes. Yeah, I don't know if I can. I'm going to try to wash that in water. Yeah. And it's really level. I feel more better about that. I think that's going to do the trick. I mean, I got to sand all this before I paint it anyway, so. But yeah, it came out really nice and smooth. I'm going to let it run a little longer. Boy, I tell you what, that did the trick. That worked wonderful. And I went through and cleaned up this edge again. Plus, I needed to bring it down a little smoother or smaller anyway, so I didn't have to flex it. But I can get in there and I can push down in the center, and it pushes it in. And there we go. They're on there. So that looks good. Now, working on the base, it came out really nice. Here's what I was talking about, having a support for that all the way down. And then there's a hole that comes out the side to bring the wires to the switches and stuff. I didn't clean that very good, huh? So this base came out nice. The walls are a nice thickness. So, and this will be the rear, and it'll be our power switch, and the other will be for these cannons. I got those painted up too, just one coat. They came out good. I got to do the back sides yet. I wanted this to cure a little more, but it's working really good, and it's still flexible, which is great. So that's something you can definitely do if you're printing this out of resin, because filament, it just doesn't work. You don't get a backing on here at all unless you would scale it up. But if and when I do build this completely out of resin, I would still, up to the edges, because you're probably going to need the edges to slide in these grooves. But at least, up to about there, I would do this flexible resin just to give it some extra strength for when it's sliding here. But for me, I have to do this, and they're working great. And you can push them in, and they fit in there nice. And so those are going to look really nice. And then being out of resin, they have a lot of good detail. There's some, like, the way to paint, probably because the glue is smoother, you're getting a little weirdness kind of like there. But I like it. It gives it like some, worn destruction kind of, worn out kind of things. That's what I'm hoping will go on. Like, a lot of this blacking happens with this paint a lot when it gets a clear coat. And I'm hoping it does that as well. I think it did that on the NX01. So, but back to the base. Cut a rod. I think I made it 7 centimeters. Just kind of guesstimated, on how high I'm gonna want this guy to sit. I think at that height is gonna be all right. You gotta, we have a jack too. That's gonna go on the bottom here. So having that up about yay high should work perfect. How square are we too? Might be a little bit of a lean that way. Just a little. There we go. we're just gonna have to probably. I mean, and that gives us another. Put my hand there. That gives us another, that much there. So we actually, I should be able to plug her right in. See if it holds it. It does. She is floating. I got bright in here all of a sudden. There we go. Yeah, let's see if I can move all this. Yeah, there we go. So that's her going to be flying. That's what it'll look like. And the nice thing is you'll be able to spin it. Now we'll see how much. Minnie's wings don't. They have some weight to them. But actually, that goes on that side. So that should work pretty good. But I'm getting off track here. Here's our Andor symbol. I hit it with a, what was it? The silver black. I was thinking about doing it in red, but I kind of like how later on the Alliance starts, doing the red symbols. So I figured since this is the early kind of first ones, and Luthen's kind of low key anyway, that maybe one just made to look like it was just made out of metal, where it has that metallic look would be nicer. He wouldn't want a symbol that's like bright red showing that that's them. But then I cut it here. I cut this piece off here, so that'll fit around this rod. So we're going to bring that right up like that. Line that up. And then this one will line up here like it's going through. It just happened to be a lot of that broken apart right there anyway, so it works. I really didn't have to cut much off here. I just had to cut around here to get it that to be that wide. So that's okay. And then we have the other little parts. These two here will continue this arch, and this little tip floats out here. And I just used rub and buff on here to keep the bases simple. So I just went with a autumn gold, I think this is. It's kind of a very coppery, just to keep it in that industrial. The whole Andor vibe is, kind of, industrial ferrics and all that stuff. So I got to mix up some epoxy and try to get these down. And then the base is pretty much ready. We'll just put the switches and the jack in, and we'll send wires up, a red, blue, and a black. All right. This is going to be the more easier part. If I don't drop it. But yeah, this is going to be the more easy part. It's going to be lining up all the other stuff, because here I just got to hit the post and just line that point with that point. Yeah, like that. And give a press. Okay. That I like. And this part's not going to be too bad either. We're getting into tweezer world here. Just trying to line this up. There we go. And I'm liking that. Now the fun part. I wonder if I take a piece of paper, which I probably should have done before I tacked it down. Sorry, it's starting to get stuck. I think that PLA is very almost absorbent. Like even paints will absorb into it, especially these water-based paints. Yeah, I like that with the coppery, bronzy gold, uh, the autumn gold, which is almost a copper color, and then that'll be kind of cool, but incognito. But I almost wonder if I should have traced this arc so I can have something because those pieces float, and I want to. I don't really, once it's glued, I don't glue on those parts. I don't really have the time to move them without having glue smear everywhere. And how do I get this compass? I wonder if I could. Wouldn't that be funny? If I do this, mm, pretty much falling it. All right, that might do the trick. I like this thing. I just printed it just to have one. It'd be nice to have a smaller style. I need to get a point to put in the one end. But this is a pretty cool compass. I didn't have a compass, so I just said, let me see if someone has one on file. And sure enough. All right. There we go. Not sure how far apart, but I'm kind of judging by what all else is there. This will definitely help. We'll let that there. Hopefully, there's enough. I just took that part and just dipped it right in the resin, and now we got this real tiny part. There we go. That works for me. There we go. Sorry if I get out of camera, so I forget I'm all focused in. That works for me. Hold it back here. So we'll let that cure. But all in all, and then what we're going to do here, this goes right in there. There we go. I wanted those prongs like that so it's easier to solder. And hopefully these fit. I don't know if I tried them. Oh, yeah. So that'll look like that. And we can even snap the other one in because it's not really going to matter. And I just bought a whole bunch of those little switches like that. They're a great switch. These are from the EVA pod. And then I got these small little momentary and other switches. I don't know where I got those. But I think they came with LEDs that I got way back when I first started doing model building. I think I bought bulk like pre-wired LEDs and it came with switches. Hmm. No, you don't want to go in. Usually I think it's because of these things here that actually hold them in. Just a little too tight. There we go. Yeah, sometimes it's so new. There we go. And then that's how they'll work. There we go. So base is ready for a ship. All right. Gonna start doing some washes and well, actually, I think I'm going to put down some of the blotchy spots on the ship, and I'll probably end up using just this Scotch Brite here and dipping it in. And I did some tests here. That's just the black wash. And then I brought out my little mixture of black, brown, red wash and did some spots. So we'll probably do different areas spots with that because I'm liking that the way that's gonna be. And then what I'm doing with this red Scotch Brite is actually going and hitting edges and getting it to break through and give me that nice worn kind of vibe there. Because I didn't really seal this, so it's making it easier to give it a good scrape. Give that chipped and worn edge look on some of these parts. I tried a light gray blotch and I didn't like it, and I could still wipe it off. And it doesn't soften this as long as it's really quick. But normally you would want to seal this and then do all this. But I think for just these blots and this scraping stuff, this is going to work good. Then we'll seal it and then we'll do the full wash because then we're going to be wiping. And a lot of times I'll use an alcohol to wipe off my the wash. So depending on how much you really want to get rid of this, we might just use just plain water because we want to have it kind of dirty. So, and cannons are in. I don't know if I've done any of that, but I got them in there. They're going in and out, and then we can spin them. flip it this way. It's easier. We can spin them. And then and the covers fit. So, yeah, so I've just been going around and just knocking corners and edges. Kind of doing that. Scratching her up. It wouldn't even hurt to even just put a full on scratching. Because all it is going to help take that sheen down a little bit. And I think I'm going to even try a little bit of Rub and Buff Silver to give them that more silver chipping. Yeah, I'm actually liking that. It's definitely bringing the tone overall down. And then any high spots or any panels that are up, it's actually catching. So that's a really... It looks like his ship has been through some stuff. And he probably pieced it together, and he probably wants it to look beat up and abused. Anyway, kind of like the reason Han wanted the Falcon to look so beat up, like a normal working, hard-working freighter. Because the Empire's not gonna, it won't flag out, if it was like a brand new ship that looked like it got rebuilt. Kind of just blends in with the normal days and activities of the galaxy, I guess. And that's why he didn't really make the Falcon back to like what Lando had it, all shiny and new. Where the Empire could be like, somebody has some money here. I'm going to probably keep chipping this one a little more. We'll get these done, and then we'll move to the main hall. But I just wanted to show you where we're at. I want to show you a product. I finally got these. These are going to be for Boba Fett's Slave 1. This one here is AK's Worn Effect, which kind of gives you more of a fade, I guess, that's supposed to be. More of a worn look, so that's going to work good. And here's a heavy chipping. This basically replaces like doing the hairspray trick. So that's going to be cool. I was happy these finally got here. So, because I wanted to start working on that, and I really can't. Because the first part of building that is the bottom part where you're going to start chipping it. And you can nicely paint that in pieces, in stages. So, but I'm going to continue. Oh, all right, here she is, with the chipping and weathering splashes on it. I think now we just got to do an overall wash. I wanted to kind of do it over top so we get some of the silvers dirty so they look old instead of overly shiny, like I think they kind of do a little bit right now. And get some of these panel lines a little brought up and some of these areas dirty. This ridge area here full of mechanics dirty. Definitely gonna probably dirty this up on both of them, of course. And then we just gotta wire this up and get her together. These wings gotta be glued on there, just dry fit. One side fits pretty good. The other side I have to wrap a uh, little piece of tape just to get it to stay, but they're getting better. These I want to clean up. I'll probably in the future print longer ones if I want, but I think these do the job for now at a short length. But we just got to clean up. There's still supports on one edge, and we'll just scuff it. It helps bring that light to the surface anyway. But they're glowing pretty good. I did a dry test. I dry, you know, with them on, and they're starting to glow pretty good, especially in complete darkness or in low lighting. You can see them really well. So I'm happy with that. That works for me. But like I said, I think I'm going to keep these smaller ones because of even if I do want them on the shelf, it's not sticking way out like here. But I might make some longer ones in case I do want them longer. But I'm going to take this apart and start hitting a wash on it. Okay, ready to glue these wings on. Um, did some things off camera as far as getting these dirtied up. I painted a little bit of a detail there. Got the gun dirtied up. Did some red around this hatch here. There's these little stripes. I think if it prints in resin, it's supposed to be triangles, but I don't even see where it even failed the triangle part. But it gave me these red lines or these little lines, so I just hit them red. Oh, windows. I'm gonna do the windows in a different video. I'm gonna do something on the vacuum forming, so that'll be a good test. You know, a good subject to do that video on vacuum forming. So, but I want to get this video out here in a timely manner, even though it's already getting past where I'd really like to be. All right. This was a great design. So easy to get things in and out. There's that one. Where's the guns? I forgot I'm upside down. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. But yeah, you're upside down. So the wire chase is on the bottom or up top. There's the red and the black. Where's the blue and the black? There you are. And I'm thinking we're wanting to get at least this one on first. Yeah, it's not horrible yet. This is the other problem. But it's more important to get the glue or the epoxy on here. I'm wondering if I should hit anywhere else. A little bit on those edges. There we go. See, that can sit like that. And while we're soldering, stick my pinky in there and keep that from pushing it. While we're soldering, I think that'll work. All right, let's get some epoxy in the other because it should be starting to get tacky now. Not a little bit. Let's immediately go for the bottom this way. Yeah, it's starting to. Perfect timing. Especially for this one. It can be sloppy. Because we got plenty of glue space here. Got a little bit on there. Now let's see how this cooperates. Try to do the same thing, get this out. Like I said, it shouldn't give me any real problems because going on. You guys stay over here. You guys stay over here. But that wasn't so bad. The way this can sit like that and everything, no tension on the wings. All right. Should we This one's the easy one. I'm thinking we should get all the negatives together. Excess off. We can. I think we can. Negative was being a little busted. There we go. I like that. There we go. So that's one wing attached. Now we can actually start soldering of these negatives. So the last negative. Sweet, that's the last. And we should cap. I don't think that, or would this big black one do it? Yep. There you go. That is all wired in. Shove it all in there. I probably should have done a breadboard, but that would have took some time. So that is the ship together. I think I need to let it sit like this for a little bit. All right, let's wire this up. I hit a little silver rub and buff on that just to kind of give it a little more dimension. But yeah, we're ready to wire this up. What we can do first is run some power from here to here and here. It really doesn't matter because these are just pretty much, it's either connected or not. So you can really attach to either terminal because it's either broken between the two or closed between the two. So it doesn't matter how it's looping. That'll work. More than enough. What we'll do here is we'll just pull in the center and expose a little bit of wire there. And what you can do is create that. That way you don't have to run two separate wires. Whoops, it's the wrong terminal there, Kevin. And it really doesn't matter which switch we make. the main and the other, whatever. Doesn't really matter at all. I wonder if I solder under here first. So we need a red, a black, and a blue. And I cut this a little shorter. It just seemed like once you put this on, the ship was sitting way up here. Sometimes it just looks top, like it's gonna teeter over. Okay, there, that works. There's our three. That's gonna be the blue. I find if you can make a little hook before you try to. And let's make it go up through. That was nice. See, did we? Yeah, we messed up. Well, I can pull it through quick because we got to get this down on there. Yeah, we'll pull it through and try to pull it through the other way. It's just gonna be easier. Ah, let's see if we get this to solder. That. There we go. A big blob to flow. Yeah, but you got to have. How many times I've done that doing pro audio connections and forgot to put that on first. But that's okay because we can just do that. Yeah, it's getting down nothing to it, but we're gonna have to epoxy this and let this sit as the ship's still wings are still drying. What would be the best way to do this? Probably get all this in and put together. Like I said, we're not going to twist that tight, so it's going to be easy to. There we go. Then we can do this, and we can press this down until it hits. And then we should be able to. And then we get epoxy down there. And can we do that without pulling all this out? Yeah. But a lot of it's going to rest on that metal piece too. So we got a bunch of strengths going on. And the nice thing is the pipe is actually exposed, and then the rim of this here is a little bit out so it can get down in between. I think that's going to work good. I don't know if this tool is going to be the one to do it. Oh, it reaches. I was afraid we'd hit the edge. Trying to see where it needs more. kind of hard to tell. It's so shiny down there. It's really hard in some areas to see. And we got to make sure this is sitting level too. Yeah, because I have it tilt back. I mean, it's going to lift that front end just a hair, but that's not. That's like a. That's what I think I want her to do, to kind of a little bit like she's coming off. All right, how we doing? If I can push more of this up and get rid of the glue that's on the wire. And like I said, then we can push these down through that slot. There's an actual hole. I don't know if you can. Nope. No light. There you can. You can see it there. Here's just the edge when it bored the hole in FreeCAD. I was so close to the edge that the outer edge cut through, but that's nice because then I can slide them down through that. But I think the best thing to do is to let this sit and cure. All right, here she is all together. Only thing we got to do is those windows, but I'm going to do that in a separate video for doing the vacuum forming. But she is pretty much complete. What a fun build and a great design. So I definitely suggest picking this model up. Our little gun turret's moving. Those doors actually close if you want it out. We got the darts out. Oops. I still got to get this wing to be a little tighter like the other. I'll figure out something to do that because she's a little stubborn. So we'll figure that out. But what am I noticing when he has us landed? They kind of have the wings like that in that mode. But anyway, we got those in, but you can put the ones when they're down, so you can make this totally incognito. Take this off, close that hatch, and it looks like just a normal Haulcraft. Those shutters came out so much nicer doing them in resin. Like I said, if you need to, if you're having trouble getting them to slide up and down, which even if you print us that filament, if I think you do those shutters, you have to do in resin. They will not print. They're so thin that they don't have a backing for them when they print on a filament printer. But we solved that problem, plus putting the flexible solar res in the back of them to give it strength was a good idea too. There's our engine section. And we're on our extended landing gear right now. When we put her up on the stand, we'll put the other landing gear in. Here's the other side. I did those red markings on the hatch there. That kind of gave some more detail. But a really fun build. Highly detailed. I'm looking forward to actually doing this whole thing in resin because it is a good size resin kit. But I didn't want this one to be so heavy. If I do a resin one, it might probably just be sitting on the floor. But we can move this wing out of the way to get a little more to cockpit area. Actually, we can even just remove this for now because I didn't permanently glue it down yet. All our consoles came out okay. I might want to dull that down inside there a little bit. I don't know if we can get enough light to see back there. That's looking all nice. So yeah, I'm happy with it. And the base came out great too. So let's get this thing up. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Yeah, let's get this thing up on her stand and see if that works because I haven't tested that yet. Oh, and by the way, while I have it flipped upside down where it's easy to see under here, and I just inserted the landing gear that's retracted. That's what she looks like from the underside. But let's get her on the stand. Okay, there she is. Got her wings up more out in a flight mode. Yeah, I'm liking that. Fits on the stand good, feels pretty stable, and you can spin her around. And she is working, so I got the engines running. Well, this one's going to keep until I get it a little stickier in those joints. And I'll figure that out. But the engines are going well. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. Now this will be all nice once I get the windows in. I don't need to take this out, but I think it's easier to take this out to do those windows first. And then we'll seal this up. Just a simple seal up. But yeah, I think adding those red stripes gave the hatch a little more detail. And I'll keep spinning her. Oh, let's look inside. All the computers are going well. Even the one on that side. Like I said, that one up front is still having a little trouble, but the two on the main computer or the main console over there are working good, and that little one on this little console is working good. Yeah, very glad I found this. It's a very sweet. My camera stays focused. A really sweet model kit. I'm looking forward to doing a resin version where the detail on the hull will be a little bit better. But I can't complain. And that's her hooked up. So that worked out good. And she'll sit more like this. I do, like I said, I made that little bit of a tilt towards the back so it lifted the nose up a hair. So it kind of looks like she's going up. But I'm gonna pause and let's see if I can get those laser plasma guns in. Okay, got the hatch covers off. Got the gun spun around. They're still a little tricky to get, they get stuck back in there and it's a little tricky. Kind of grab these ends to get them out. So it's a little tricky. It's not something you're going to want to be doing all the time. It's either they're out or in, you know. But yep, switch works that you turn on. So and I got both of them free. Where did I put those? Well, that's interesting. There they are. And I went through and sanded these guys because they had a little bit of supports on the bottom. And I think when this does that, it's kind of like this when you see it in the movie. Well, let's turn that on, see if we get some glowing. It's not going to be that great in the bright light. But there you can kind of see. Get this side in. There we go. And you can kind of see it. When I dim this light, probably get even better. Yeah, there we go. I don't know if I can get this wing to do the same without it chop sueying the plasma beam. Because like I said, I gotta get this one a little stiffer. Yeah, it's gonna want to chop suey the. That's like how I think it would really. I think it's more like that, where it's down and shielding it. I mean, maybe it's up like that. I don't know. Could have had the wings like that. Not sure. There's the other side. Yeah, it gives it effect. I'm happy. I'm okay with that. Some weird reason it seems the longer you run lights through things like fiber optics, the more they start to glow on the outside. Not sure, but they've gotten brighter as I've done more and more with them. If I even hit that light out, it's even better. So it gives it effect. And like I said, I can print longer ones, but I think this will give me enough shelf space. Get a little light so we can see the vehicle. But yeah, there she is. Like I said, she'll be facing like that. Can't complain. Very cool build. But the next build, I think we're gonna start doing the series on, should be just one video on the Havoc Marauder. So I thank you all for watching this series. It is a cool vehicle. Let's see if we can put her back in that mode. It's definitely a cool vehicle. Even looks cool like that. And like I said, we're gonna finish up the Havoc Marauder. I just got to do some washes on that. We'll have a series on that. Um, and then we're gonna start Boba Fett Slave One from Rael. But again, thanks for watching the build. Hope you enjoyed it. Definitely look this kit. I found it on Etsy. His name's Jeff. I can't remember the last name, but I think it's Jeff's 3D Creations is the name of the business. And he did a great job of modeling this vehicle and getting wire channels to everywhere you need to go. Everything was just great. Like I said, the only thing is if you're going to print it and film it, you're still going to want to have this done with resin because it doesn't give you enough backing. All you get is the little segments. just sitting like that. You know, there's nothing attaching them. So, but this really is a ideal resin kit, resin print. So I think I'm going to do that and here in the future. But until next time, thanks for watching.